So the third talk is entitled Redo Surgery for Arnold-Chiari Malformation, Role of CSF Flow Studies. So it will be presented by Dr. Sachin Giri.
Very good afternoon, respected teachers and my dear colleague. Today I am going to talk on redo surgery for Arnold-Chiari malformation, role of CSF flow studies. My studies performed at Department of Neurosurgery at Government Grant Medical College and Sir JJ Group of Hospital, Mumbai. Syringomyelia is often associated with the Chiari malformation, that is type 1 Chiari malformation, which constitutes around 50 to 70% of the cases. Surgery is the treatment of choice. Symptoms and syringes can persist even after surgical treatment. A thorough radiological evaluation and CSF pressure testing helps in detecting the right redo procedure. So basis of for development of syringes in ACM type 1, various theories has been proposed, like Gardner and Angel Waterhammer theory, Oldfield theory of the downward migration of the tonsils producing systolic pressure wave, which acts on the surface of spinal cord like piston, William theory for craniospinal pressure dissociation. But in all these cases, the commonest factor being a small posterior fossa or herniation of the cerebellar tonsil and concomitant crowding at the level of the foramen magnum. There are various surgical options to treat the Chiari malformation, like suboccipital craniectomy with C1 laminectomy with or without duroplasty, intradural lysis of arachnoid adhesions, shrinkage or resection of the cerebellar tonsils, syringe shunting. And if patient is having associated atlantoaxial dislocation, then C1, C2 fixation can be performed. No standard surgical procedure is followed, and combined failure rate is around 10 to 40% over a follow-up period of 10 years. In these cases, duroplasty can be performed most commonly with the help of autologous graft like pericranium, or dural substitute like bovine pericardial patch can be used. Outcomes after surgery for Arnold-Chiari malformation with syringomyelia, there are various studies has been performed, but in all these studies, the combined worsening rate is around 10% in follow-up period. The causes of failure can be failure of previous surgery to relieve the CSF obstruction at the foramen magnum, like inadequate bony decompression, and if there is no duroplasty performed, persistence of anatomical and physiological block to the CSF transmission, development of arachnoid scarring, presence of craniovertebral instability or cervical kyphotic deformity, advanced age, and undiagnosed hydrocephalus. Clinical features in these recurrent cases is persistence or worsening of the symptoms or progressive myelopathy. MRI is the most commonly performed investigation, which shows decreased size of CSF pathway at foramen magnum, crowding at the foramen magnum, pseudomeningocele formation, persistent or progressive syringe formation, and hydrocephalus. So what is cardiac gated cinephase MRI? This is the most sensitive investigation for detecting or excluding post-operative arachnoid scarring and adhesions. It shows the pulsatile caudal flow of the syringe fluid causing syringe expansion, and also demonstrates the decrease in CSF flow at the foramen magnum. In our study, we did a follow-up cine MRI with cardiac gating at 3 months after surgery. It shows improvement of CSF flow velocities in CSF flow study, adequate CSF space in the region of the foramen magnum without any crowding, and reduction in size of the syringe. So advantages of these investigations include it helps in early diagnosis and treatment of patients with the Chiari malformation and atlantoaxial dislocation. It is non-invasive, specific tool for the diagnosing the failure of the previous surgery done in patients with persistent or worsening symptoms. Disadvantages of this investigation is obviously more costs are incurred in this investigation. This study requires more time to perform, and also special software is required for the machine. So phase contrast MRI generates the signal contrast between flowing and stationary nuclei. And when two data sets are subtracted, the signal contribution from stationary nuclei is eliminated and only flowing nuclei are seen. So these are some of the images acquired by the phase contrast MRI. So left upper one is a rephase image with visible background. Right upper image is a magnitude image with bright flow and suppressed background. The lower images are the phase images, which shows the bright signal of CSF diastole on the left side, while caudal flow of CSF systole produces a dark signal. So these are the images which shows, as I mentioned, that caudal flow of CSF systole produces the dark signal, whereas cranial flow of the CSF diastole produces the bright signal. On the CSF flow waveform, the time of cardiac cycle was plotted on x-axis and the velocity on the y-axis. And during CSF diastole, CSF moves in caudocranial direction, that is positive velocity, whereas during CSF systole, CSF flow in a craniocaudal direction, that is negative velocity. There are other supporting investigations required to rule out associated pathologies like atlantoaxial dislocation can be ruled out with the help of dynamic CT-CV junction. X-ray and CT cervical spine can demonstrate the kyphotic deformity of the cervical spine. So surgical aim in a redo surgery is to enlarge the subtonsillar and retrotonsillar CSF system. Expansion of these basal systems correlates with the reduction in size of the syringomyeliac cavity. So surgical procedure involves bony decompression. There should be adequate bony decompression at the foramen magnum, and C1 arch has to be removed to fully decompress the cerebellar tonsil. The foramen magnum decompression should be at least 4 by 3 centimeter in size, and excessive decompression can cause the cerebellar slumping. Removal of the epidural scar is very important in these redo cases. So dural incision in these recurrent or redo cases start at the or below the level of the cerebellar tonsil because there are some wide subarachnoid spaces which avoids the injury to the underlying neurovascular structure. Avoid previous incision line because there might be underlying adhesions. Arachnoid incision should be sharp and in the midline. Free flow of CSF should be observed. Release of arachnoid adhesions to open the foramen magendi is an important step. Cerebellar tonsils herniating to the C2, C3 levels are coagulated or partial resection can be performed. Syrinx, if it's of significant size, then it has to be drained, but recurrence is the possibility. So either syringo-subarachnoid or syringopleural shunt can be performed. Creation of the wide cisterna magna can be done with the help of placement of spacious dural graft. If there is associated spinal instability, like cervical spondylosis, then C3 to C6 laminectomy with lateral mass fixation can be performed. And if there is a AAD with or without basilar invagination, then C1, C2 fixation with or without odontectomy has to be performed. The arachnoid scarring can be prevented by keeping the space clear from the blood contamination. So this is one of the cases where the patient has been operated elsewhere. On investigation, we found that this is operated case of Chiari malformation and there was inadequate bony decompression. So as we can see on the left side. So we reoperated this patient. This is the preoperative MRI, which shows persistence of syrinx and worsening of the symptoms. So we did operate this patient and we did adequate bony decompression along with the lax duroplasty. And in follow-up period, we can see that there is complete resolution of the syrinx. This is another case of persistent fibrous band over the dura or arachnoid adhesions. So here we can see that there is a persistence of syrinx. This patient was then, we re-explored this patient. We did adequate foramen magnum decompression and followed by lax duroplasty. We released these adhesions and we can see on follow-up MRI, there is complete resolution of this syrinx. This is another case operated elsewhere. The surgeon did only foramen magnum decompression without addressing this atlantoaxial instability. So we reoperated this patient and we did occipital C2, C3 fixation. And on the follow-up MRI, we can see that there is a complete resolution of the syrinx. This is another case with pseudomeningocele, which is obstructing the foramen magendi. And on the cardiac gated MRI, we can see that there is no CSF flow across the foramen magnum. We excise this pseudomeningocele and we re-establish the CSF flow across the foramen magnum, which can be seen here on the right side, right lower image on the CSF cardiac gated MRI. So redo surgery outcome, there is significant improvement following the redo surgery this has been supported by the study conducted by John D. His, which shows that there is significant improvement in this patient following the redo surgery. This is a patient who has been operated for the atlantoaxial dislocation. This patient was having Chiari malformation along with the atlantoaxial dislocation. So this patient has been operated elsewhere, and only surgeon addressed this atlantoaxial dislocation by hard seal fixation. So we reoperated this patient because of persistent symptoms. We can see on the left side there was a significant syrinx. The patient was clinically deteriorated, so we operated. We did a foramen magnum decompression. We reposited back this hard seal, and this is followed by the lax duroplasty. So this is the follow-up of this patient. Initially, patient was not ambulated, and in follow-up period, we can see that there is significant clinical improvement and patient can walk without support. This is the follow-up MRI which we can see on the right side. This is another patient where inadequate bony decompression has been performed. So we re-explored this patient. We can see there were significant dural scarring. This was the previous site of craniectomy. We widened this craniectomy. This is followed by the lax duroplasty and adhenolysis. We can see here, we did adhenolysis followed by the lax duroplasty. And tissue sealant is used. And this is the follow-up of this patient. So this is the cardiac gated MRI, preoperative MRI, which shows there is no CSF flow across the foramen magnum. And this is post-operative cardiac gated MRI, which shows good CSF flow across the foramen magnum. This is another case of atlantoaxial dislocation, which we operated in our institute. This patient presented with the neck pain and weak hand grip. We can see that there was significant myelopathy in this patient. So C1, C2 fixation has been done in this patient. But unfortunately, after 6 months, patient presented with weak gag reflex. And we decided to go ahead with the redo surgery. We opened the dura and we found that there were significant adhesions, arachnoid adhesions, which we release. We can see that low-lying cerebellar tonsil. So in this patient, we operated with foramen magnum decompression followed by lax duroplasty, and patient improved significantly in follow-up period. Here we can see that post-operative cardiac gated MRI with good amount of CSF flow across the foramen magnum. So plan for the redo surgery if persistent or worsening of the symptoms after 3 months, or if there is an increase in size of syrinx on the MRI, or if there is evidence of instability. Cardiac gated pulse sequence show evidence of obstruction of the flow at CV junction. Look for the subtle atlantoaxial dislocation, which will worsen after posterior fossa decompression. Choose the right procedure after thorough clinical and radiological evaluation. Regular and periodic follow-up of this patient is essential for evaluating the efficacy of the recommended procedure. So to conclude, progressive myelopathy and radiologically persistent syringomyelia after craniocervical decompression surgery is an indicator of a failure. Early redo surgery to enlarge the CSF pathway at foramen magnum improves CSF flow and thus reducing the syrinx, preventing the further cord damage. Cine flow MRI is useful for decision making, an important follow-up tool in early surgical management of Chiari malformation. It acts as an essential non-invasive investigation for the management of recurrent syrinx and persistent symptoms. Thank you.